Welcome, everybody, to our holiday episode of Beyond the Fourth Wall, the only place where we know the search for Luke is much greater than the search for Spock, and we are your hosts.
I'm John.
And I'm Joe, also known as Mr. H on www.graphicpolicy.com. You can follow me there. And today, I am so excited I can barely get it out of my mouth. We are going to talk about
Star Wars.
But more specifically, The Force Awakens, the movie that just came out.
Now, just to forewarn you guys, as we discuss this, we're going to spoil the crap out of the
Absolutely.
film. Because I just think that's the best way to go about analyzing it.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more, and I'm excited because what we have for you is actually going to be a multi-part discussion, and at some point we're actually going to feature a very special guest. So we're moving on up in the world. We got people that, actually want to come on the show.
I know.
This basically is a reintroduction to the Star Wars universe after 30 years from the original trilogy. The premise as a whole is pretty simple. Luke's missing. Everyone's like, where the hell is he? And that is the focal point. Everyone in this movie is looking for Luke Skywalker. There really wasn't a bumpy transition. You still felt like this was a Lucas movie, but it was even better than a Lucas movie for me. I think Abrams got it better.
Well, he did a fantastic job at directing the film.
No, it was a very visual masterpiece to me.
Yeah.
It eliminated the element of camp almost completely. You can have funny, cute, quirky characters without going into that campy realm. I would consider it a soft reboot. It doesn't totally eliminate what preceded it, but at the same time it's introducing it new to the audience as if you were seeing this all for the first time. It does a good job of laying out the little breadcrumbs for you to follow and figure out who everyone is. Big part of it is it jumps right into action right away. You get introduced to the antagonist.
Yeah, Kylo Ren, they bring him into it almost immediately. Mm-hmm. I don't think 10 minutes pass before we see him for the first time.
And it's visually spectacular, too, when they bring him in. Everything that looked great about all the other movies, including the prequels, looks tenfold better this time around.
And what's nice is, although there is some CGI in the film, for the most part, they relied on practical effects. And the practical effects are amazing. One of the characters that they've been pushing hard in the marketing is this little droid called BB-8.
I love BB-8.
And BB-8 doesn't just exist to sell merchandise, although I'm sure he'll probably sell plenty of that. He's a great character in and of himself. You look back at C-3PO and R2-D2 from the original trilogy, both iconic characters, particularly R2-D2, which everybody remembers. I would say you could argue BB-8 was superior to those two characters. Far more expressive, more dimensions to him.
Definitely.
I loved him. He was one of my favorite characters in the film.
And the design was great. It was a streamlined design. It wasn't clunky, and it wasn't, you weren't waiting forever for him to roll somewhere. He could get from place to place practically. The other thing that I loved so much, and they proved me wrong, was I'm a big Han Solo fan, big Harrison Ford fan in general. I don't think I've seen a movie of his I didn't like. But what I liked was he wasn't just an extended cameo. He was in it for the bulk of the movie, and he had something to add to it.
Well, first, they have a great introduction. Han Solo and Chewbacca never feel as if they're shoehorned into the film.
Nope.
They have a major role in the movie, and they end up establishing this sort of ragtag band of renegades, I guess one could say.
Yes.
And they all work well together. The interplay is great. They have chemistry with the new characters. Mm-hmm. It never feels forced. I couldn't say the same thing about the other original cast members, though, particularly Leia.
The performance put in by Carrie Fisher, to me, was not good.
Like any scenes that featured her and Harrison Ford together, they felt more forced than any other interaction in the movie.
It was very wooden. I mean, it was Hayden and Natalie-esque, for sure.
Yes. I will say, though, they did a good job with all the other heroes. Rey, Finn, Poe, all fantastic characters. We'll get into them a little bit later, but for now, we want to examine the other side of the Force,
Absolutely.
The dark side.
With Kylo Ren, what did you think?
Okay, I'll say overall, I think the antagonists in the film were some of the weaker characters. Kylo Ren has a lot of promise.
Yes.
I don't think they've lived up to that promise just yet. We'll see. So one of the big spoilers in the film, one of the major plot points, is that Kylo Ren is the son of Princess Leia and Han Solo.
Basically, it was the introduction he needed. It had to be something significant. He just couldn't be some guy from the dark side who showed up and was, badass. I liked that. He has a lot of promise. And of course, he's going to be featured in the other films because, one, he looks amazing. The design is perfect. And two, he does have ties to the character that they don't straight out tell you, and they don't reveal what it is. I have my thoughts on that.
Regarding Kyle Ren, what I liked about him is he wasn't a seasoned veteran. Right. He is by no means a Sith Lord. He hasn't mastered the dark side of the Force. Exactly. And it looks like another one of the big characters, the Supreme Commander Snoke, is going to mold him into that. But he's very much so a child playing at being a Sith Lord.
Yeah, you see the temper tantrums when things don't go his way. He just grabs the lightsaber and he's like, "Row, row."
Yeah.
Back with the Commander Snoke. What is it? Like, he projected himself. He was like 20 feet tall. I had no idea what race he was.
Yeah, he's an alien.
Yeah, which
you see that.
I guess that works because maybe it's a different thing that they're trying to introduce. You don't have a background to him. Like, why is he so badass and why is he so set on Kylo Ren?
And that's the thing about the original trilogy is when we first saw Darth Sidious, we thought, man, that guy is the personification of evil.
Absolutely.
When I saw Supreme Commander Snoke, I thought, okay, I like the deep booming voice. Andy Serkis portrays him, and he does a good job doing so. I like his personality. He's poised. He never goes off into a fury. Anytime a plan doesn't go their way, for him it's okay, let's go to the next step.
Right.
It's the design. The design felt not bad, but a little generic. He's laden with scars. They go in a typical Disney route with that, where yes, he has scars that makes him the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It just wasn't as convincing as some of the other antagonists we've seen in the series before. I mean, to bring the prequel trilogy into it, Darth Maul. When you saw Darth Maul for the first time,
awesome.
You thought, oh man, I do not want to be in a battle with that guy.
Exactly. I was so excited for the introduction of this character called Captain Phasma. And they did next to nothing with this character.
I like her introduction when she walks up behind Finn.
Yeah.
Up on one of the ships. And you think at first, okay, here's this big hulking stormtrooper. What route are they going to go with in this? And you hear a female's voice and you think,
awesome.
That is awesome. And that's something the movie went out of its way to do, is establish strong female roles. Absolutely. But Captain Phasma, she had a lot of promise as well. And from what I understand, she's going to be in the future episodes. But in this, she probably had about 3-4 minutes of screen time at most. They did nothing with her. And the actress that portrays her, Gwendolyn Christie, she's on Game of Thrones. She portrays Brienne.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
A great actress.
Back to Kylo Ren, though. Here's the thing that's going to make him memorable. The big spoiler of the entire movie is he kills his father, Han Solo. How would that movie have gone if Kylo Ren didn't kill Han Solo?
I felt part of the reason why he died is I suspect Harrison Ford didn't want to do any more Star Wars movies. So they said, okay, we'll kill Han.
In order for it to have the gut punch it needed, they had to kill Harrison Ford. It did what it was supposed to do. It eliminated any ambivalence that Kylo Ren had.
I will say this, nice touch in that scene. When we see the light shining on Kylo Ren's face, and then when you know he's made his decision, he's going to kill Han, all of a sudden that light disappears, it vanishes, and that veil of darkness covers him.
Do you think Han knew the ramifications of the choice he was making when he walked up to meet Kylo Ren?
I think that he had considered the possibility of that happening. He knew the potential was there for Kylo Ren to kill him. But he was willing to step out there nonetheless and try and bring his son back. Obviously, it doesn't end up working out. But he tried nonetheless.
In the same point, it gives the main characters something traumatic that is going to drive them for the rest of the franchise.
Chewbacca witnesses the death of his best friend.
Exactly.
And Rey and Finn, two of the major characters who have spent much of the movie with Han Solo, bonding with him and Chewbacca, they see this character perish at the hands of his son.
And I liked that he did it with the mask off. It worked so well. You remember all the Star Wars movie by moments. That was this movie's moment. And it was what it needed. It had to start out big. I read something with J.J. Abrams said, we had to do something huge to make this movie the success. And he, like me, maintains if you take that scene out and eliminate Kylo Ren killing Han Solo, the movie doesn't work. It gives Kylo Ren a lot more potential. You've eliminated what was holding him back. My interpretation of it is it was a matter of absolution for his son. Did you catch Kylo Ren's real name?
Yeah, Ben.
That was the best part because it ties everything back in. The movie does a great job of legacy. And with that, we're going to take a break and come back with our special guest.
Welcome back to Beyond the Fourth Wall. This is our special guest, Jackie. I wanted to ask her what she thought about The Force Awakens.
Well, we decided it'd be a great idea to have somebody on the show who was neutral. I've seen all of the movies. But though I enjoyed them, I didn't really hook into the universe. John was very excited to see this. And I was really like, okay, we're gonna go see a movie and we'll see how it is. I was positively surprised, and that big surprise came from their female characters. It was the first time in any real big universe movie, whether it be Marvel's, DC, or Star Wars, to get not only one strong female cast member like Leia, but a whole array of female cast members. We get introduced to Rey, who was a subtle build-up to a really important character. And what I loved about her is that the camera adored her, but she wasn't hypersexualized. She wasn't made to be pretty. She was smart in all the non-traditional ways that movie like to present women. Yeah. She was technically savvy. She was a scrapper. And when we think that our male characters need to come and save her, she's got it handled.
Because the actress that portrays her is so expressive. And like you said, the camera loves her. She has a magnetic presence.
I loved when all of a sudden the First Order is attacking. They've located the droids there. Finn gets temporarily knocked out. And she goes over and she wakes him up, trying to be the big man. Are you okay? And she looks at him like a damsel in distress was never a thing ever in that universe. She looks at him like, yeah,
of course.
Like, let's get going. Stop holding my hand. We got shit to do. She doesn't try to steal the spotlight at all. She doesn't try to call attention to what she's able to do. She just does it because it needs to be done.
And how great is it that we're going to have a new Jedi and it gets to be a female? Instead of making Finn the one that becomes the Jedi, it's Rey. Yeah. Rey's the one who's called to the Force. Absolutely. Rey's the one who has those keen instincts. Rey's the one who ends up being called to Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. It's great to see these strong female roles being introduced into movies. This has been a pretty good year for it, between Mad Max, Fury Road, the latest Mission Impossible, and Star Wars.
And then we've got the woman who runs the water tropical planet there. And I have seen some mixed reviews on her. Some people haven't liked her design, but if we get past her design and we look at the character herself, I like that they made women strong in a woman's way. They didn't try to make them strong like a man, big and hulking. Here is this woman who runs this planet who seems to be very maternal, very intuitive. She's been around a really long time. But my problem with her, though, is she was a plot device. She was just there to get the lightsaber to Rey. And then after the First Order come and everything's blown up. She doesn't come out of the rubble. She doesn't say, thank God, Leia, you're here. We could have got some camaraderie, some history there, and then would have been done. But she's never mentioned again. She's never seen again. And they just move along.
And that's sort of a common theme throughout the film. They gloss over that. There were a lot of characters where you assume they survive. That's not great storytelling. We should be able to know that from seeing the movie.
And then we get introduced to Leia. And I thought Leia was really not a strong, prominent person in this movie. And I thought it was a waste of a potential for her character. One of the things that I thought would be a great potential to really show Leia as a fresh leader of the Resistance, but it's been 30 years. She should have this shit on lock. Let's talk about that. Here we have Death Star times 10, massive planet. And on the planet where they all meet, they witness the destruction of 5 planets. That's just another plot device to show what the Death Star can do. Never at all is it addressed of like you have that, oh shit, but nobody's grieving, nobody's in shock, nobody's really impacted by this. The death of Han Solo has more impact than the death of countless lives, countless species, and planets. And it was a great opportunity to have Leia step up and say, guys, we have to focus. We know what their weapon can do, and we need to stop it from doing this again.
Agreed. She's the leader of the Resistance, so lead, Leia.
Yeah, her, Han, total exposition. It really didn't feel like they had a big connection to their son. We were just to assume the connection. We didn't witness it. We didn't witness the impact that they lost their son, leaving in such an extreme faction. Their son killed other students and left to be on the opposite side of a fight for millions. And you don't see it. You see it through exposition very stalely delivered.
Yeah. We were talking about how Harrison Ford gives a great performance for the most part, but his scenes with Leia, They weren't well delivered. They felt forced. We can understand how something that extreme would drive a wedge in between them, losing their son to the dark side, seeing him massacre all these Padawans, them being conflicted on it. It makes sense that Han Solo would flee. He wouldn't know how to cope with it on an emotional level. That Leia would be the one to return to the Resistance and lead them against the First Order. But it's not really addressed at all. All Leia really exists to do in this film is deliver exposition related to her son, which is, as Jackie said, another Death Star. 10 times the size of the original Death Star, far more capable in terms of sheer destructive power. That's where I think the movie lost its momentum. And when they're all sitting around the round table trying to figure out what its weakness is, to have it have the same type of weakness as the first two Death Stars, come on, really? Like, they wouldn't have learned from that?
You're able to make a whole planet a weapon, and one person can shut down the shield, and its weakness is external.
Yeah, and you would have thought Captain Phasma would have put up a bit more resistance.
She totally should have been a boss fight.
Yeah.
So, I love that Rey got herself out. When Rey figures out that she has her own powers, she has the Force, it was awesome. Kylo Ren's response, very well acted.
She resists him, and it's great the way she does it. It almost feels like a defense mechanism where it just clicks into being. Yeah, exactly.
But to speed forward, we get the lightsaber fight between Rey and Kylo Ren. But before that, we see Finn. And that was a great contrast because here's Finn. He has no training besides his trooper training, and he has no chance. It was a little weird that he threw Rey and actually decided to fight Finn. I thought, wouldn't it have been better if he threw Finn instead and Rey was like, you fucker.
Just fought him right from the onset. And then fought him then.
I like that she wasn't completely composed. I like that she was running. I like that she had just discovered she had the Force, but there's so much going on that she forgets about it.
Kylo Ren ends up having to be the one to remind her.
To his own detriment.
You need a teacher. Let me be your master.
She wins through happenstance. She scars him, but then the Earth rifts, so we don't really know where that would have gone. I like the fact that when they got back and she got off the ship, her and Leia hugged. I thought that was nice sentimentally, but I thought it was interesting that Chewie and Leia had no interaction, the people who were closest to him. We shouldn't hope to have to see that in the next movie. You know, the most we get from Leia is when Han is killed and Kylo Ren stabs him, you have this shot to Leia and her face is like, something just happened.
You'd think that when everybody ends up reconnecting, Chewie and Leia would mourn together. But there's nothing. There's no grieving. They just
not even looking at each other.
No, they pass one another by. I feel like towards the end, they wanted to gloss over all of that in order to get to the reveal of Luke Skywalker.
And I almost wondered, because it was a Disney movie, if Finn was going to be like the new Sleeping Beauty. But I love the fact she didn't kiss him on the lips. I love the fact that she called him a friend. I love the fact that she kissed him on the forehead. I love that we get a movie where romance is not forced. You can tell they're building that relationship if they decide to go there.
Yeah, the only time it's forced is when we have the interactions between Han and Leia.
Yeah.
But as far as the new characters are concerned, yes, they establish this kinship, this bond between them, but they never force that romantic subplot. The one thing that we get is a funny little aside that Finn utters, oh, you have a boyfriend? And then that's gone. They let the two of them come together as friends, and that's where their relationship goes from.
Equals, and
exactly.
Beyond. Where it leaves off is Finn's basically comatose, and we as an audience don't know what his outcome is going to be. We don't know when or if they're going to see each other again. And then they give her the map and say, hey, you want to go fetch Luke for us? That'd be great. And she takes off.
And so we head to the grand reveal of Luke Skywalker, which the whole movie has been building up to. That said, we're going to take a break. And in our next segment, we're going to bring Joe back into it. And the three of us are going to discuss the reveal of Luke Skywalker and how we felt about it. Welcome back to Beyond the Fourth Wall. So we have Joe returning here with us, and we're going to discuss the reveal of Luke Skywalker.
I'm going to say I was a little underwhelmed. I love the detail of when she's walking up and there's the hut and you have the trinkets, so he's still tinkering with things. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I thought the shot where he's standing there was more for the camera and the audience than it was logical. Okay. Does Luke just spend his time standing on the top of the mountain looking over the seas dramatically? Why couldn't he be sitting and then stand up dramatically? I thought that the copter shot was kind of prolonging theatrical drama, but happy we saw him. But for everything that built up to it, I was like, eh.
Yeah, the fact that the movie was kind of centered around the grand reveal of Luke Skywalker. You don't hear him say anything, first off, and then second off. I love what you said off camera, where when he looks at the camera, it's almost like we get the Zoolander smolder.
We do. I was a big fan of it. He could have been sitting there eating a box of cereal from Naboo, and I still would have been like, that was the best reveal I've ever seen. I think it was what was needed. You needed to know that, first of all, he was alive, and he was part of the franchise.
Absolutely.
So when you get that reveal, I don't think that there was any dialogue within those confines that really would have done anything better than the music score and him just staring at Rey and Rey staring back. I think they did it right. I mean, I remember what you guys said off camera. You said it could have been something like, I sensed you were coming, or it's been a long time, I knew this day would come. Maybe those would have worked, but I think the way they did it worked just fine for my point of view. It worked well.
I will say, for the time they allotted it, I don't know that they could have done much with it. Unless they did a dramatic, she walks up, sees the back of him, and cuts. And you save that moment to begin the next movie. Even that, like, for the short amount of time they gave it, I think it would have disappointed some people along
Yeah,
the
that
way.
was probably inevitable given the sheer volume of people who were going out to see it. I think a good way to have ended it is she holds a lightsaber up and then they cut after seeing that anguished look on his face. I don't think we needed the dramatic pan around because it just looked a little awkward. The two of them are standing there. It's like they're in
a stand.
Freeze frame.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the whole...
I loved it, though. John had made mention off camera of the potential of him seeing them fly in. And why wouldn't Chewie go with them? And why would... Well, R2-D2 would suffer those stairs. But they just drop her off. But I love John was like, do you think he saw them and then ran up? It was like, oh, I got all dramatic and like...
For what it was, you're gonna have people saying, I need to see the next movie.
Part of what I love about the movie, there's so many talking points, so many things you can discuss, and so many theories to consider.
There's some endings that other people would love, and other people would be like, no, what were they thinking?
Yeah, it wouldn't work for them.
And I think it will do well for the franchise going forward. Of course, we spoiled the crap out of the movie. The question coming out of the movie for me, and probably on everyone's mind, is Rey's parentage. So I figured it would be cool to go with our thoughts. And I'm going to go with the safe bet here. I'm going to go with her that being the love child of Luke Skywalker.
I think they're really leaning very heavily on that. I would be satisfied with that. It would be fun if the movie surprised us and led us to think that, and then revealed something completely different.
Those are my feelings
But
on
I'd be
it, too.
completely content with her being his son. And that would open up a huge backstory of, like, where has Luke been and what has he done in the last 30 years.
Yeah. So I think, like you guys said, Luke's her father. That's my theory right now.
Yeah.
But I would love it if the future films in the franchise completely subverted our expectations and went in a different direction. So long as it seemed plausible.
I think we're in for a lot of good stuff. I absolutely can't wait. I enjoyed having this discussion. I don't know about all of you.
I did too.
I did too. And what I like is that for the things that we were aware of that we thought could have been done better, we have a whole franchise, so those are possibly going to be addressed in the next movies.
And I think a good thing to say is that although we recognize many of the flaws in the film, this is still the best film in the franchise since Empire Strikes Back. It's superior to Return of the Jedi. It's leagues better than the prequel trilogy. It's well worth seeing, and we all recommend it.
Yes. Yeah. That being said, we thank you all for your time.
Yep.
And you will click and subscribe this video.
You will like this page.
You will share it with your friends.
Did you guys see the movie? Let us know what you thought in the comment section below. And until next time.
May the Force be with you all.
Take care.